My friends, we know the story very well. After Jesus' painful crucifixion and death, the disciples find themselves hiding out in a room where the doors are locked from the inside, and they're terrified. Their friend had been put to death as a common criminal, and they're worried. They're worried that the same thing might just happen to them. But despite the locked doors and their fears, Jesus comes to them saying, "Peace be with you." My friends, I don't think it's surprising that the disciples were afraid. They had been through a lot. And if I'm honest, I would say if I were in this situation, I too would probably hide behind a locked door. But then Jesus broke through that barrier that they had put up, and everything changed. My friends, there's so much to be afraid of in this life. And being fearful is not a sign of a lack of faith, not at all. We know from experience that there are times when circumstances or choices made by others impact us in a negative way. And truthfully, sometimes our own choices do harm to us and to those whom we love. So we begin to worry. We become overly concerned and fearful of every decision, every potential outcome. And often our fears are directed toward possibilities that exist for large groups of people, like tornadoes or mass shootings or acts of terrorism. However, I would argue that the fears that really get the best of us are the ones that only affect ourselves. Some of us fear not having enough money. Others fear being alone or being rejected by those they love. Others fear the unknown things that may happen if they're not being careful. These individual fears are more of a problem because they get us to live our lives differently. They get us to make choices we either should not or would not otherwise make. In a certain sense, they get us to lock the door, to place a barrier between us and whatever it is that we fear. So people who fear a lack of money may accumulate more than they reasonably need, and they might even resist being generous with others. People who fear being alone may continue in relationships that are not healthy for them. People who fear rejection by loved ones may begin to compromise their values, choosing to go along with the crowd, so to speak, rather than doing what they know is right. And people who fear the unknown may refuse to take any risks in life, and consequently, they may fail to discover the beautiful life that God has in store for them. These are just a few examples that show the consequences of letting our fears get the best of us, compelling us to make choices and put barriers up that stifle us from growing into the loving, fully alive person that God created each of us to be. Jesus does not want us to be locked in a room spiritually, but rather hopes that we have the courage and trust in Him to come out in faith, spreading His message and sharing His love wherever it is that we go. During this Easter season, in a very particular way, we celebrate Jesus Christ's victory, overcoming death and sin. But that also means that we're celebrating His peace, overcoming our fears, a peace that allows us to fully embrace the new life Jesus is offering. A fearful person is someone who allows himself or herself to be held back, to be locked within the walls of his or her own concerns and wants. But people who trust in the promises of Jesus Christ and rejoice in the victory he has won are able to move beyond their fears and faithfully and courageously continue his mission, his ministry, loving every person and in every situation. And my friends, maybe some of us are right now feeling that we are in a fearful place. For whatever reason, feeling that life has just been too difficult, too disappointing, too uncertain. It's as if the world is winning and we're on the losing end. And so what we want to do is hide. We want to play it safe, hedge our bets, and begin looking out for number one. You know, those disciples probably felt a similar way before Jesus broke through the barrier that they had put up. Life had gotten just a little bit too difficult and scary for them. At times, I have felt the exact same way. Maybe some of you have as well. Yet if we sincerely desire to encounter Jesus Christ, to feel his compassionate and loving presence, and to follow in his footsteps, then no barrier that we put up will ever be strong enough to stop him from standing in our midst and filling us with a peace that is greater than any fear we may have. Jesus Christ's resurrection will triumph over anything that we have to face. In our second reading today, we're told that the victory that conquers the world is our faith. So, my friends, let's allow our faith in Jesus Christ to dispel all fears we may have and to put us on a path to the compassionate, peaceful, kind-hearted, charitable, and loving life that God has created each of us to have.